I was an intern. He was the company's billionaire CEO. And one night, I accidentally sent him a text meant for my best friend about how infuriatingly hot he was. The next morning, he called me into his office, holding up his phone, smirking. Care to explain this? My face burned as I stammered, "That wasn't for you." His eyes darkened as he leaned in, shame. Because I think I'd like to hear more. I wasn't looking to fall for anyone, let alone the CEO of the company where I was interning. I just wanted experience, something to slap on my resume, maybe a letter of recommendation if I kept my head down and worked hard. This happened in Seattle, summer of 2021. I was 23, fresh out of Eastern Washington University. I'd never even been to the big city before this internship. I shared a crappy apartment with 2 other interns, lived off frozen Trader Joe's meals, and took the bus to the sleek downtown building where everything smelled like eucalyptus and money. That company, no, I'm not going to name it, was one of those tech giants that made apps you probably use every day. The kind of place where employees wear sneakers with their blazers, and the cafeteria has oat milk in 5 flavors. I was one of 20 interns that summer, and we were treated like shadows. No one paid attention to us unless we made a mistake. Except him. Noah Raines. CEO. Founder. Rumored billionaire. 37. Wore gray suits like they were painted on. He wasn't just rich, he was powerful in that way that made people nervous when he entered a room. Tall, broad shoulders, and always with this cold, unreadable stare like he was figuring out how to take you apart. Some people said he was brilliant. Some said he was a tyrant. All I knew was, every time he walked by, the air in the room changed. He didn't notice interns. Not usually. So when he passed me in the hallway my first week and looked at me for just a second longer than necessary, I felt something weird stir in my stomach. I brushed it off. I had no business thinking about him like that. Then, a few weeks in, I sat in on a marketing meeting. Noah was there. He tore the VP apart for some budget decisions, his voice sharp, eyes cold. I wasn't even involved, but I felt it like a slap. He was intense. And way too good-looking when he was pissed. That night, I was texting my best friend back home. I'd just gotten off a long day, and I was still kind of shaken from how Noah had snapped in that meeting. I typed this exact message, "He's such a jerk. Totally ripped into everyone in marketing today. But why is it so hot when he does that? I hate that I even think that. He's a walking HR violation, and somehow I'm still into it." I meant to send it to my best friend, Jules, but I sent it to him. I didn't realize it until 5 minutes later when I checked my messages and saw the name Noah Raines above it. I felt the blood drain from my face. My hands were shaking. I tried to delete it, but iMessage showed it as read. 3 dots popped up. Then it disappeared. No reply. I barely slept. I showed up to work the next day wearing the only blazer I owned, thinking maybe if I looked put together enough, he wouldn't fire me on the spot. At 9:13 a.m., my desk phone rang. I picked it up. "Mr. Raines would like to see you in his office." Now, I thought I was going to throw up. His office was on the top floor. Glass walls. Expensive art. Quiet enough to hear your own breathing. When I walked in, he was sitting behind his desk, looking at his phone. Then he looked up at me, smirking. He held up the phone and said, "Care to explain this?" I was frozen. That wasn't for you," I stammered. "No kidding," he said, leaning forward. His voice dropped. "Shame. Because I think I'd like to hear more." I didn't know what to say. I just stood there, waiting for the ground to open up. But he didn't fire me. Instead, he started messaging me. At first, it was vague. A message here and there. Then came a casual lunch. Then a drink after work. He called it mentoring. But it wasn't. We both knew it. He'd sit too close. He'd ask personal questions. His eyes would linger. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself I was imagining it. Then, one night, he kissed me. It happened fast. We were outside a bar after a team happy hour. I was tipsy. He was stone cold sober. He leaned down, brushed my hair from my face, and kissed me like he owned me. After that, it became a thing. Secret meetups. Texts at midnight. Days where he'd call me into his office and ask me to close the door. I was stupid. I thought he liked me. I thought I was different. But I wasn't. A few weeks later, I found a folder open on his desk. He'd stepped out to take a call and told me to wait in his office. I glanced down. It had names, dates, notes. It was a file labeled Internal Review, Legal Concerns. And right there, underlined in red, Past Intern Relationships. My name wasn't even the only one listed. That's when I realized I wasn't special. I was just next. I kept quiet. For a while. But that's not the end. Not even close. After I saw that folder, everything changed. I sat there in his office pretending to read emails while my stomach twisted into a knot. My name was on that list, along with 3 others, all female interns. One of them had a note next to her name, ND Settlement, 2019. I didn't know what that meant at first. But later that night, I Googled it. NDA. Non-disclosure agreement. Probably hush money. Probably to keep her quiet. I felt sick. He came back into the office, smiling, completely unaware that I'd just found the crack in the perfect wall he'd built around himself. He leaned on the edge of his desk, close to me, and asked what I was doing that weekend. I wanted to punch him. Instead, I smiled. Lied. Said I had plans with friends. That night, I started making real plans. First, I screenshotted everything. Every message. Every photo. Every late-night come-over text. I backed them up to the cloud and a flash drive. Then I started talking to people. Quietly. I found Mia. She was one of the other girls on the list. I didn't know her well. We'd been in the same intern orientation, but she'd been quiet, always with earbuds in. She'd left after only 2 months. No one really said why. I messaged her on LinkedIn. She didn't answer right away. Then 3 days later, I got a DM. You saw the file, didn't you? That was all she wrote. We met up the next day at a coffee shop across town. She looked different, older than I remembered, more guarded. I signed an NDA, she said, keeping her voice low. But if you're still there, you can do something. He's not untouchable. She didn't go into details, but I could tell he'd done more than just flirt. I asked her, did anyone believe you? She looked me dead in the eyes and said no. They made it look like I was unstable. Said I was obsessed with him. HR covered for him. That's when I realized how deep it went. The company knew. They protected him. They always had. So I played along. For weeks. Smiled at his texts. Laughed at his jokes. Let him believe I was still that naive intern who thought he saw something special in me. And, behind his back, I built a file of my own. I recorded conversations, forwarded messages to a burner email, even took a selfie in his condo once, with something personal in the background, his Harvard diploma on the wall. Proof I'd been there. I needed leverage. You know he's done this before, right? He said. I nodded. I wanted to stop. That's how we started working together. Drew helped me pull logs, access calendars, dig up emails that had been deleted but not destroyed. He was careful, quiet, but he wanted Noah to go down almost as badly as I did. Everything was going according to plan until the day Noah slipped. He showed up at my apartment. No warning. Just knocked on the door one night around 10 p.m. I opened it, shocked. I was in the neighborhood, he said, like it was normal. He kissed me. I let him. I didn't want to blow my cover. But then he said something that made my blood run cold. I've been thinking, he murmured, brushing my hair back, you're smarter than the others. I like that. But I hope you're not getting any ideas. I froze. What do you mean? He smiled. Let's just say I know when someone's trying to outmaneuver me. That night, after he left, I checked everything. My email, My files. The burner. Nothing looked touched, but I knew then I had to move fast. He was getting suspicious. He might have already known, but I wasn't stopping. He thought he could scare me. He had no idea who he was dealing with. After that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying what he said. I hope you're not getting any ideas. It was a threat disguised as a compliment. And the worst part? He was smiling the whole time, like he was already 10 steps ahead of me. But here's where things got worse. One of the interns, Tasha, got fired out of nowhere. No warning. Just gone. I found her on Instagram, messaged her privately. She replied fast. He knew. He found my texts. I'm done. Be careful. I asked what texts. She didn't answer. I panicked. I had to assume Noah was digging. And fast. So, I pushed the timeline. I met with Drew and told him we had to go now. We had the texts, the emails, the calendar invites, the photo from his condo, voice memos, even a voicemail he left me once when he was drunk and said too much. I'd written everything down, dated it, printed backups. I sent everything to a contact Mia gave me, someone she said worked for a journalist in New York. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was a shot. Then, a twist I didn't see coming. Drew turned on me. I don't know if Noah got to him, or if Drew just decided to cash in. All I know is, I walked into work one morning and found HR waiting at my desk. We need to speak with you. They took me to a glass conference room. Sat me down. The head of HR was there. So was one of the company lawyers. We've been made aware of some misconduct involving Mr. Rains. I swallowed hard. Misconduct? Yes, the lawyer said. And we have reason to believe you were part of it. In fact, we've seen messages suggesting you initiated an inappropriate relationship with a senior executive. My blood went cold. They had my messages. The ones where I flirted. The ones where I responded. Noah must have cherry-picked everything. And Drew, he must have given them the rest. I didn't speak. I didn't say a word. I just listened. They handed me a document. It was a termination letter, along with an NDA. And a check. $15,000. It was hush money, just like Mia said. I didn't sign it. I walked out. I didn't even clean out my desk. I just left. And that night, I leaked everything. All of it. To the journalist Mia connected me with. I sent them the whole file. And then I waited. Noah still didn't know what was coming. He thought I was out of the game. He had no idea I was about to burn his empire to the ground. The day after I sent the file to the journalist, I kept checking my email, expecting to hear something. Anything. But hours passed. Then days. Nothing. No response. I started to wonder, what if they weren't going to run it? What if Noah had friends there too? What if all of this was going to be swept under the rug again, just like it was with Mia and the others? Then, on the 4th night, I got a call. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. It was the reporter. Her voice was calm, serious. She said, "I've seen the material. I need to confirm a few things with you. You were smart to keep records. I think this story is bigger than you realize." We met the next day in the back of a bookstore cafe in Capitol Hill. She was older than I expected. Sharp eyes. No small talk. She had a thick file of printed messages, photos, and memos. My file. And she asked questions. A lot of them. Were you ever coerced? No, but you felt manipulated. Yes. Did you ever feel threatened? I paused. Then I said, not until I started pulling away. She nodded slowly. That's when the control really shows. I told her about the phone bugging, the fired interns, the NDA offers, Drew turning on me. She said, he's done this before. And he'll do it again. But not if we take him down the right way. She said she needed more time. To check facts. Talk to others. She asked if I'd go on record. I said yes. Because I had nothing left to lose. I thought I was ready for the fallout. I wasn't. 2 weeks later, it hit. The article dropped early on a Monday morning. Front page of a major business site. The headline was brutal. CEO accused of targeting female interns in pattern of predatory behavior. They didn't name me, but they described me. The texts. The calls. The sudden firings. It wasn't just about me, it included Mia. Another intern from 2018 came forward too. And one employee from HR anonymously confirmed that multiple concerns had been swept under the rug. Noah denied everything. Of course he did. He released a statement calling it a smear campaign and claimed he'd been the target of personal vendettas from disgruntled former interns. He even hinted that someone doctored evidence. That day, I had reporters calling my old apartment, people digging through my social media. Even a few of the other interns texted me, asking if it was really about me. And then the real hit came. Noah sued me. It got worse for him. Fast. Investors started backing away. His board put him on temporary leave. He made a public appearance to clear his name, but he looked rattled, thin, like he hadn't slept in weeks. I watched the video on mute. I didn't feel sorry for him. Not one bit. But just when I thought he was finally going to crash, something happened that turned everything on its head again. I found out who tipped him off. It wasn't just Drew. It was someone inside the journalist's office. When I found out someone inside the journalist's office had leaked to Noah, I felt the floor drop out from under me. It happened by accident. I got an anonymous message on Signal. Just a few words. You didn't hear this from me. But someone on her staff gave him early access. But Marianne wasn't shaken. She was angry. And focused. She pulled strings. She got her legal department involved. She launched an internal investigation, and the leak was eventually fired. Quietly, of course. They couldn't admit publicly what had happened, not without tainting the whole article. But it didn't matter anymore. Because by then, Noah was bleeding. The story had gone viral. TikTok, Reddit, Twitter, everyone was talking about it. Every woman who'd ever been mistreated in tech started using the hashtag #RainsPattern. A few even tagged the company directly. They tried to do damage control. They launched an internal culture review. They put out a statement about reaffirming their commitment to safe and inclusive work environments. But the damage was done. Noah Rains was toxic now. And then, God, it got personal. One night, around 2 a.m., I woke up to my fire alarm blaring. There was no fire. Just smoke. Someone had shoved burning paper under my front door and poured what smelled like gasoline around the hallway. The building's cameras caught a man in a hoodie, face hidden. Police didn't do much. They called it a low-level arson attempt. But I knew what it was. A warning. I called Marianne. She got me a hotel. Then, the next day, a private security contact. They said I needed to disappear for a while. And I did. For the next month, I lived in cheap motels, changed numbers again, avoided the news. My case was still active. The lawsuit hadn't been thrown out. And Noah, even while suspended, still had lawyers, money, and resources. But something else happened during that time. A whistleblower reached out to me. She was from accounting. She'd read the article and recognized my name from the emails that had been subpoenaed. She told me the company had paid out at least 4 settlements related to Noah over the past 5 years and hid them in consulting fees and non-compete agreements. No public statement. No interview. Just disappeared. Some people said he fled to Europe. Others said he was negotiating some quiet settlement deal. But I wasn't done. I didn't want quiet. I wanted him ruined. I wanted to finish what I started. And I finally had the one thing I needed to do it. An email. From Noah. One he thought he deleted. The email was simple. Short. Only 5 lines. It was sent to one of the board members 6 months before my internship even started. The subject line read, "About the intern program." And the body said this. HR flagged one of the girls as concerned. "Shut it down. Offer her the usual deal. I don't want this blowing back on me. We've done this before. That was it. But it was everything. It proved Noah had been warned. That he knew about the interns who complained. That he ordered silence. And the board helped cover it up. Marianne verified it was real. We published it. It blew up the story all over again. But here's where it turned. Noah didn't stay hidden. 2 days after the story dropped, his lawyers filed a motion saying I had hacked his email to get the message. They wanted the email thrown out of evidence and me charged criminally. And this time, they had something. See, I'd used a copy Drew had helped me pull from the servers before I left the company. He'd made a backup of internal communications from Noah's account. I had forgotten to check how that data was pulled. Legally, I wasn't supposed to have it. And even though it was real, even though it showed everything, I suddenly became the one on trial. My name, my face, my past, everything was online. People started calling me the girl who tried to take down her CEO and broke the law to do it. Noah gave a smug TV interview from Paris, of all places, where he played the victim card like a pro. She was angry I didn't return her feelings, he said with fake sadness. She wanted revenge. I watched it in my hotel room, alone, crying, furious, because part of it wasn't a lie. I had wanted revenge. I had let it get personal. I wasn't proud of everything I'd done. I used people. I got close to Drew knowing he hated Noah. I smiled at Noah while secretly planning to destroy him. I lied, I broke trust, I played dirty. But I wasn't sorry. Because if I hadn't done it, he would have kept doing what he always did, charming girls, using them, tossing them aside, ruining careers, hiding behind money and silence. So I went to court. For real. My legal team argued that the email should stand. That the public good mattered more than the method used to get it. That I was a whistleblower. It dragged on for months. And then, finally, something changed. One of the board members flipped. He gave a sworn deposition that Noah had pressured him to destroy evidence. That the company had spent years covering for him. That multiple interns had come forward and were paid off. That sealed it. The email was admitted. The lawsuit against me was dropped. And Noah Raines? He was indicted. Wire fraud, obstruction of justice, corporate misconduct, and more. He didn't smile when he walked into court. He didn't smirk when the cameras followed him. He looked pale, lost, like a man who'd finally run out of exits. His company dropped him. His name was stripped from the building. His fancy condo went up for sale. The media turned on him. He became a joke. I didn't get rich from this. There was no payday, no movie deal. I still have debt. I still have anxiety. Some days, I still feel like looking over my shoulder. But I'm working again at a nonprofit that helps women in tech report harassment safely. I tell them my story, all of it. I don't sugarcoat anything. And I remind them, sometimes the only way to beat a monster is to become one long enough to take him down. I don't regret what I did. But I do carry it with me. Every day.